them with some part-time coaching over there. So maybe they've cooked up some secret picks, and we'll get right into that draft. The Ivern remains banned against Inspired, but the story of jungle has been Gwen and Naafiri. Gwen is a very good flex pick, very, very good for top lane, but also can be flexed into the jungle with the current state of the buffs to both Gwen and Naafiri. Even with all these hotfix nerfs and everything, both of those are still very strong. Plus, we had you know, a little York rework there, getting the
a couple
who
of
also just
spicy
got a
changes.
hotfix, who also just got a hotfix nerf. So we'll see how much practice these players have been putting in on those other champions.
Okay, so we've already talked about the ban on the Ivern towards Inspired. Yone and Vi also removed by Team Liquid. Skarner, Talia, Rumble banned out by FlyQuest. First pick of the draft for them is going to be the Varus, getting a power player down there in the bottom lane for Massu. Massu and Yeon, I think, is always one of our most exciting matchups in terms of role-specific head-to-head here in the LTA. Yeon being the shining star, I think, for Team Liquid at first stand, even in their less impressive games. Yeon was still the one who was really just out there.
And you got Insta Kalista for him,
Flowers. For it, and he's got Kalista Renata in this game now that'll be going up against a Varus, and whatever they decide to pair with it for the side of FlyQuest, because the second pick for them was the Xin Zhao for Inspired nice and early.
Yeah, definitely going to be some early skirmishing here if you get the Xin Zhao. Honestly, the Neeko here could technically be flex for mid lane and support as well if they do end up locking it. Could lend some versatility, but I would definitely expect it to go bottom lane, try and combat this Kalista Renata. We saw so effectively the Varus plus Neeko lane really bully early on. Lots of harassment, lots of poke damage from that lane really early on. So we'll see, especially if junglers path down to that side to try and protect. If they can use that range and poke advantage. But Yeon and CoreJJ have just been the shining stars for TL. That bottom lane, especially Yeon, has done so much carry work for the team. So FlyQuest going to have to do a lot, try and keep that fearsome duo behind.
Well, you can see that FlyQuest is still being cautious about the jungle role, respecting the flexibility of the Gwen to go up into the top lane or the jungle, saying, hey, Impact might just play that up there in the top side. We don't want to give them the Sejuani, don't want to give them one of those classic Umti power picks back in the day before Fearless started, where everybody was saying, oh,
the Sejuani Maokai.
The Maokai Sejuani merchant, of course. But we have the Cassiopeia banned out by TL. This is one of the ones the quad will play in certain situations. Very effective against Kalista. The power of the miasma for the grounding effect can be super useful. And Tristana will be the last ban of the draft for FlyQuest.
All right, what other AP mids are they worried about here? TL with some more protection bans. Of course.
Hell yeah, buddy!
Me too, honestly.
Thanks, buddy.
Who doesn't? All right, let's see. What else do they want to take out here? I mean, maybe some tankier options for Bwipo. Oh,
Okay.
they do actually.
Yeah.
One of the specialty picks for Bwipo, the set, which would be a big problem for Gwen, even with Gwen getting the kind of early game-oriented buffs to the champion. Set still would be quite problematic, assuming that Impact does take it up to the top side.
All right, so let's see what we get here from the side of FlyQuest. You know, I feel like Ryze, his face is just slightly further to the edge of the screen than I expect. And so for a second, I always have to wonder who that is because it's just a blue blur. But that blue blur will be the Ryze locked in for FlyQuest.
Interesting, because Ryze didn't get like the direct changes, but the Rod of Ages did get a much better build path. So will be interesting to actually see, assuming that it's still going to be the build there for the Ryze. You know, you can go with the double Ruby Crystal start, but Jarvan here locked up since Ryze doesn't have the jump. Varus doesn't have the jump to be able to get out of it. So the ultimate there for Jarvan will be very effective against those carries. Also, a lot of times, too, you can try and just, like, ult the Neeko and then EQ out of your own ultimate. Try and keep one of those engaged threats away from you.
So if last pick of the draft for FlyQuest is for Bwipo, what do they want to save it for? And the Vlad will be the pick. So we have two very powerful, scaling, team-fighting capable AP characters for the solo lanes of FlyQuest, with range being the limiting factor on both of them. But on the other side, it's not like Team Liquid's draft has a massive amount of artillery that's going to be flying at you. Kalista is a short-range AD carry. Ahri needs to dive in. Gwen is a melee champion. So it looks like we're going to get a pretty scrappy one here this time.
Yeah, I think TL TL need to be very aggressive, and that is honestly good for them. When they have been at their best recently, when they've been focusing on trying to win early game and snowball. And so I think Umti here on the Jarvan, path down towards the bottom side of the map. Jarvan is very well known for being able to skip camps to go for ganks if there's any sort of opportunity. So if there is early trading in any of these lanes, it is always a gankable lane for Jarvan. He literally only needs level 2. Ideally, you do get to keep your farm up like every other jungler, but it's nice to always have that option of playmaking.
And I feel like League of Legends, we've got, 170, 175 champions in the game now. Of those 170 champions, Jarvan is still the first one that comes to my mind if you say the words level 2 gank. That is what this guy is all about. You see that flag come down in your lane when you might even still be level 1, you're not having a good time. So let's see if Umti can make that happen. He was a player that came under a lot of criticism during the first split. He was able to rectify a lot of those mistakes once Coach Spawn joined back up with the team. Obviously, fans for Team Liquid still hoping to see him step up more and more as we get into split 2 now. Going up against Inspired on the Zhao. Always a test in the jungle for anybody going up against him. I'm ready to go for this one, Kobe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LTA for Split 2. Team Liquid and FlyQuest. This matchup, I feel like it always delivers. Some of the best moments that we've gotten in recent history here in North American League of Legends have been between these two teams.
100% agree. This rivalry has been the rivalry at the top of the LCS. They are very close in game score as well, Flowers. Both like all time for the organizations. Bwipo here, though, under attack pretty early on. Should be able to just walk his way out. It's 106 though already. So they're getting a little bit deep in time, which means that that damage will stick. So decent opener here for Impact. Stacking up his Conqueror, chasing him down. Vladimir level 1 does not get to do a lot.
Now, one important thing that I'm immediately noticing here is Massu also lost his flash back at level 1, so that's going to be an important thing to keep track of, especially with Jarvan in the game on the enemy team. And also, this is one of those rare games where it is not 4 teleports in solo lanes, right? Bwipo has Flash Ignite, so we'll have to see how that affects the overall macro game as we get further in.
I also want to point out the Trinket ward economy here. 3 wards used really early on for FlyQuest to protect the bottom side of the map, and we're mentioning, Jarvan's ability to get creative ganks off. Umti is starting on the top side, so we'll be pathing down towards the bottom side. Of course, we need to take a moment to reflect on TL.
The most important reflection of that event.
Yep, TL in, and then as soon as they got their victory over KC, they were out. So, GG.
Yep, it happens. Yep.
Done and done.
Get in, mission accomplished.
Yep, back to the LTA, though. They have to worry. Yeah, they have to worry about the bottom lane, or look to prey on the bottom lane. More importantly there, and try and prey on that flash that was blown. Is good that you point that out, because that is the much more impactful part of the level 1. Massu being down the flash, and we were expecting that bottom lane to have some heavy trading as well to open up opportunities. So both junglers will end up on the bottom side of the map, kind of close to when the wards are expiring after their full clears, and we'll see if we can get any further action down there.
And I'm glad that you mentioned back in the draft just the immobility of both of those carries in the Ryze and the Varus on the side of FlyQuest. And even when you look at Vlad, obviously he can aggro drop with his pool, but he doesn't have any way out of the Cataclysm either. So Umti just has so much potential this game. If his timing is right, if his game sense is not leading him astray, to be able to punish any sort of a weakness here on the side of FlyQuest and really accelerate this TL comp that you already mentioned. They want to play aggressive. They want to get ahead. I mean, you're playing a Kalista Jarvan comp. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, definitely do. Meanwhile, bottom side, as we were taking a look at the ward, Trinket ward economy, they instantly refreshed this Pixel Brush ward, but not going to do a whole lot as bottom lane still has push power for TL, so Umti gets to go up to the crab and grab that one, and Spire's going to have to go up to the top half of the map to trade them there, which means under tower down there, the Varus and the Neeko here, trying to scrape together the rest of their CS, and should be able to claim pretty much every other one of those minions, and end up fairly close here, though. the early recall for Kalista quite nice with the boots plus the long sword here. And they're going for the swap flowers right after that early reset. So they use their lane priority, push in, get their recall off early on, and swap up to the top half of the map to go collect that wave.
And it feels like this is kind of the new age way of playing lane swaps, right? You wait out the timer, and then you send bot lane to the top side. They're already going to be there here in a minute and a half when the grub timer procs.
Exactly. Ready for that fight. They want to scrap over it. By that time, though, everybody's still going to be looking at this Massu flash timer. So that timer winding down fairly quickly before nobody has been able to punish it. And we'll see if they're able to change that story. Because remember, with both junglers starting top side of the map for their first clears, it's pretty easy to continue to track junglers. They go for their second full clear. Again, top down, are just going to bounce on over. But Umti's actually not going for his second full clear.
Okay.
He's dropping some camps here on Jarvan, delaying his red side camps to come fish around for top side, which means Inspired will be ahead in CS here, be a bit up in his tempo here for junglers, and we'll see Umti on his recall just reset back down to the other side.
And speaking of tempo and speaking of being able to punish things, like when we look back at the level 1, when we look back at Bwipo taking that chunk, it hasn't really hurt him a whole lot, and now he's in a great spot. It's first blood for Bwipo. The Ignite used to guarantee it. They make the move on Impact before either one of the top laners is level 6, and it's FlyQuest first on the board.
And there you go. Umti camp on top side, doesn't find anything there, goes for the recall. Meanwhile, Inspired finishes clearing towards the bottom half of the map, and as Impact walks up, this Gwen that has no flash, no mobility summoner spell, they get their kill, but now contesting, looking at the dragon.
Okay.
Looks like Umti's going to be able to push Inspired off.
Now, very similar inventories here for both these champions, but it is one extra ruby crystal for Umti.
So it's interesting because Bwipo heading back down, but has no Ignite, and meanwhile topside.
Oh, nice. Busio gets caught out there. CoreJJ and Yeon going in. The handshake is beautiful, even through the clone. There's no way home. Beautifully done from CoreJJ and Yeon. The Renata Glasc setting it up with the engage to guarantee that Yeon's getting on the board, tying up these 80 carries.
That's exactly where TL want all of their money, in Yeon's pockets. The Kalista flowers, you said it. Now, that opens up the option for Umti, be able to go from Dragon up to the top side of the map. Interesting, Busio here on his reset. He won't have any summoner spells for the Neeko, but he is going to head right out to the grubs. Looks like they're going to at least try and get some vision down around here. Currently wearing the face of Inspired.
Always one of the fun things to keep track of in a Neeko game is, will he get any good big chameleon moments as the game goes on? Sometimes halfway through the game, you'll see him be able to successfully sneak into a minion wave or something. Somebody forgets to count. But a lot of the time, I feel like you don't get a ton of value out of walking around like this.
Well, looks like after that kill on top side, they will be able to get both of the first early neutral objectives here. So super nice. Yeah. There for TL, for Umti, but it'll come up and grab these two because you get so much.
Oh boy, Bwipo in some danger. Impact nearly getting the kill, but nearly is not good enough. Quad arrives with the Realm Warp. Impact falls down, and again, it's that difference in mobility summoner spell. Bwipo having the flash to get the extra distance keeps him alive.
Flowers. Before we got into this game, in the opener, we're talking about, will Bwipo be able to make Impact look like he did at first stand and put him in those same deficits that we saw Impact facing in international play on matchups that were just like this, when he even had the exact same champion of the Gwen. And with Inspired going down there, it certainly looks to be that case. Vladimir definitely going to be very annoying, going for the boots of speed here really early on. Swiftness boots here will have a very easy time of getting into or out of the large clump of short-range champions on the side of TL. So it just feels like Vladimir is set up to be Thanos in this game.
Yeah.
He really excels into clumps of short-range champions, and with Inspired doing such an efficient job of making sure that Bwipo is going to have a strong early game and a lot of money in this game, with the early kill, with some very good laning stats for himself already on the Vladimir. certainly feels like Bwipo is set up to be an absolute terror here.
I especially like this Swifty rush, considering the fact that he's playing the Conqueror version of Vlad that can trade better but doesn't have the same mobility as the Phase Rush one. Just making up for a little bit of the lack of that Phase Rush there. Obviously not nearly as effective, but still shores it up a bit. As one thing that my eyes are immediately drawn to, my friend, is those timers in the top left and top right parts of the screen, because we've got ourselves the next set of grubs as well as the next Drake spawning at almost identical timers as Impact jumps in after Bwipo there, wants to make sure he trades very quickly, watching the transfusion bar, getting back before Bwipo can have that empowered Q. Busio just setting some vision down in the enemy jungle, should be able to take note of Umti farming up his red buff here, might even get the exact kill timer on it, but Umti just continuing to farm up. The Jarvan 0, 0, and 0. Kobe, I don't like seeing my Jarvans at 0, 0, and 0 10 minutes into the game.
But what if I told you that he got the first dragon as well as the first set of grubs? So, you know.
I'd still rather see something other than a box of donuts there in the KDA.
Flowers want some kills. Flowers want some action. He has been able to grab the objectives in the resets afterwards. And remember about like the openings to those. It was off of their reset when the kill went down on Impact initially, chasing him off the dragon, and then going up to the top side, grab his grubs after the duo made their play. So has kept up his duties there. Meanwhile, lots of deeper vision getting in on honestly both sides of the red quadrants here for the junglers. So we'll see as CoreJJ now does not have anything to remove it. Doesn't pop the sweeper there and clean their own side. So Quad is going to have plenty of information for himself on that bottom side of the map with the jungle fully lit up.
All right, Umti wants to try to help out Impact up here. Bwipo has had assistance from Inspired twice. It has been deadly for Impact's Gwen game so far. Bwipo trying to get this wave shoved up a little bit further, but greed might get the better of him, as now Bwipo's going to find himself in a 1 versus 3. Tries to lay down the Hemo Plague, maybe get something back here against Impact. Drops into the pool, needs a little bit more, might just find it, not quite, but no, he does get it!
He does!
The bailout's not going to work because he didn't have the timing right. The bailout is down there, but the Impact kill already came in, and so he doesn't get to reset. Oh my goodness, that is not looking great for them as CoreJJ has to try to get back away now. Umti using the combo to provide a little bit of extra space for his support. FlyQuest going to claim Feats of Warfare off of that 1-for-1.
Oh, that timing is so tragic for TL. Bwipo still gets a counter kill in the 1v3 that they send at him. That is so good for FlyQuest. It's insane. They're going to be able to get their second pack of grubs, deny the full 6 from Team Liquid.
That's a 3v1, man.
With the timing on that bailout, so close right there, too, as he's going down.
If the bailout was just, the timing was slightly different, then boom, you kill him, awesome, you're immediately rezzed, everything's perfect, but just not quite there for TL. Bwipo, I'm sure, more than happy to make that trade. Umti is going to start up the second Drake of the game now, hopefully get TL off to a 2-0 lead in those. Let's take another look at how this went down, because this was so close here at the end.
Yeah, so, I mean, Bwipo goes immediately onto Impact, stats up his Conqueror, gets his Ignite, gets his ult down, and then the bailout is on him, but oh, and it's just right after. So he does not get the credit. Nice kill there, yeah.
Yup.
Head and hands. Really, really well done by Bwipo, too.
Got him.
Wow. That was my
Renata's W, and that's it.
Yeah, that's so tough, man. If Bwipo just took an extra half second, fraction of a second to die, the bailout ends up working there. But hey, not the way it went. FlyQuest up 1,000 gold now. Team Liquid up 2 Drakes to nothing. Grubs dead even at 3-3. And now our neutral objective timers are pretty thoroughly desynced, especially with Rift Herald being one that teams very often like to fight for compared to full scrap over the grubs, full scrap over one of those first couple of Drakes. So here in 2.5 minutes, I expect us to get something out of that. I expect us to see Team Liquid want to fight. You can see Yeon has that Blade of the Ruined King already completed now. You can see the Rod of Ages also starting to stack for APA, but the same thing can be said for the Ryze for Quad.
Yeah, I just feel like FlyQuest are set up to have so much more success in this game than TL are going to have, because there's gonna be the Varus poke that comes through, and so then TL are faced with the problem of having to get their engage off And so it's basically going to be in like Umti and APA's hands with their engages, either charm flashes from APA on Ahri, or Jarvan going in head first and trying to have like Renata ult follow him with their ulti. What? Then it's like a very rough situation where you're diving into what presumably will be a fed Vladimir.
He's looking pretty strong.
And so FlyQuest seem like they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure here, especially since we haven't seen Ryze be the center of attention in this game very much. But Quad is scaling quite nicely to have some side lane threat himself on that Ryze. And Plate Gold, of course, was also in their favor. Very healthy gold lead here for FlyQuest in these mid stages of the game. And Quad did go, of course, still with the Rod of Ages plus the tier build here. So once you get your double mana items going, Impact now is the target once again.
Yeah, we got the Realm Warp coming in. Quad cuts off the easiest escape route, but
Nice
Impact
juke.
is still fast enough. You can just walk away from it rather easily. So nice job there, not getting caught out by FlyQuest. You do not want to give that Ryze any more gold. He is already the single highest individual gold lead for his team, up nearly 1,000, up over 1,000 now compared to his counterpart in APA. This guy is going to be a menace once we get into these team fights, especially like you said, talking about the first two items being those stack attacks. 280 out of 360. That tier is going to be done before you know.
Certainly will. Inspired now. Once again on the side lane attack.
Okay, the Tides of Blood looking to close the gap, immediately dropping Hemo Plague into the Ignite. Inspired priming the first two charges of 3 Talon Strike, so immediately has the knock-up ready for the third, and that makes it all too easy for FlyQuest to overload the bottom side, take out APA.
Yeah, they sent 3 people bottom, and TL in response on the top side of the map where they have numbers, try and go mid play.
Oh, the handshake missing there is tragic from CoreJJ. Yeon commits the ult, tries to set it up so they can use the Renata bowling ball into the handshake wombo combo to get a pick on Massu. But because Core misses that handshake, Massu's still alive, doesn't even spend a summoner spell. Luckily for TL, it looks like they may be able to secure this Rift Herald without a fight, at least for themselves. Yes, sir, they will. However, that Herald being secured will be traded for a bottom lane tier 1.
Exactly. The price you're paying is solo tower gold here for the Vladimir. That has already been a problem. Now, with feats of strength and the cosmic drive on top of the boots of swiftness, Bwipo is going to be zoom without having to go for the phase rush. Quad though.
Oh, CoreJJ flash handshake onto Quad, looking to lock up this Ryze with the assistance of Impact and Umti. There's no way out for Quad. Nicely done there. That time it's Team Liquid finding the better of their opponents in the 3v1. Of course, we had to get a pause, but Impact's going to be really happy with that one.
APA quickly looking to both sides, checking his surroundings. What is going down? I wonder what that could even have been, because I guess we'll get a notification update on that. But that was, an important shutdown. The Ryze, like you're highlighting, biggest individual gold lead on the map. And so getting that shutdown into the Gwen here, Impact was definitely in need of some money to try and start his scaling. Still at no items completed here. Bwipo definitely very far out in front. And we'll see. We shall see here once we get a little update.
So I just got an update. Apparently, Umti's monitor had some flickering issues. So they're investigating the monitor, make sure there's nothing wrong with it, make sure it's not going to randomly black out in the middle of the next fight or something. So
You definitely don't want that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty hard to play League of Legends when the monitor doesn't work.
Yeah,
But,
you just gotta feel the game.
Yeah,
You gotta
that's your real game sense right
just
there.
channel the heart of the cards.
Yeah. There you go. But that's not what we want him to do. So we're checking the
have
monitor.
to rely on that.
We're making sure that it works, and then once Umti's monitor is good to go and back in action for sure, then we can return, get ourselves back into the game. But at least that means, hey, it's not like there's somebody claiming that there's a bug or we got to rewind or anything like that. We just got to tech check Umti, make sure it's all good.
Make sure the monitor is all ready to go. Okay, wow. Our first game of Split 2, Flowers.
Yeah.
How are we feeling so far? I mean,
I'm glad we get Ryze and Vlad. That's pretty exciting. So my biggest nightmare, because I was watching the Brazil games earlier this morning, and our first game, our mid lane matchup was Corki Azir in LTA South. I was like, oh, please, no, not this every game.
Yeah.
So we're not starting off with Corki Azir. We get to have Gwen versus Vlad, right? Like, I'm okay with this.
we got Bwipo with his Zeus cosplay here going on. Seeing if they can replicate, and so far, doing a very, very good job of it. So let's see if they can actually close it, though, because the Dragon is coming up shortly, only 20 seconds there, so should be FlyQuest rotating their resources over to that Dragon. They're in a good spot to be able to fight this one with.
Yeah.
TL, meanwhile, TL have to rely on getting a pick. Like, they, honestly, they really have to here. So let's see if they can do just that.
Oh, Inspire jumping over the wall, going after Yeon, forces the flash of retaliation from the Team Liquid AD carry as Bwipo's into the back line. The Tides of Blood nearly kill off the Kalista, but not quite enough just yet. Bwipo needs an empowered transfusion, and he gets it. Meanwhile, into the back is Impact, but it ain't gonna matter. He should die first, but no, it's Bwipo, and Impact takes one with him. Bwipo and Massu are both down, and Team Liquid team fights better.
That was so good from APA. He got the charm on Bwipo as FlyQuest were trying to peel back to kill the Gwen. Team Liquid get the extra kill in the team fight. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to take the objective. Not at the moment yet. Quad here is still very, very scary, and Busio is threatening. He doesn't have his ult, though.
Quad just evolved his Archangel to a Seraph's Embrace as well, so another sneaky power spike. If Team Liquid isn't hitting tab and paying attention to that, they might get surprised by the shield.
Okay.
Umti wants an opportunity to try to find a knock-up here onto somebody, but Inspired is not going to be the right target. Quad dumping damage into the Team Liquid lines. Follow-up from Inspired as he's ready to chase. Shut down, credit over to Quad. Team Liquid hung around too long. Umti goes back in, but he's shot in the face as he makes his entry. Now it's Impact and APA in a 2v3. Team Liquid, right as it looked like they won a fight they shouldn't have, they give it all away. FlyQuest are happy to accept the gift.
Woo! Only 5 seconds before, the crowd was erupted into Team Liquid chants, and now immediately the rebuttal from the FlyQuest fans. The chants go up, as you said. I mean, they're standing around staring here at the Dragon, but Quad is too strong. Even in the 4v3 here, Umti uses EQ. Since that does not land, Jarvan has nothing left. And Quad is just dumping damage into them. The Ryze chains there. Oh.
And then they continue chasing. Remember that Yeon had to flash at the beginning of the initial team fight, so he's got no further way to run.
Yeah.
Umti wanted to be the noble sacrifice, but he just ends up being the side of fries. And then APA even, just way too little, way too late. What a disaster for Team Liquid in that fight.
Yeah. The noble sacrifice turns into the free lunch.
I do like a free lunch.
FlyQuest definitely are eating good here. 4.6K now, the gold lead for them. And Quad there doing so much work on the chase down. Got a needlessly large rod and inventory 2 flowers. So on top of the fully transformed Seraph and the 8 stacks on the Rod of Ages, which will tick over fairly soon. Looking at the death cap coming in shortly after that, and Ryze damage just goes through the roof here. So Team Liquid, they are so short range, as we've been highlighting with their comp. They don't have a lot of options to get back into a game. Basically, when you're in this sort of position, all you can do is clear out vision, group up, and go for picks. You're so short range, you just have to. Ahri flashes, look for your charms. Jarvan, just full send. Try and pick out FlyQuest when FlyQuest are spreading too thin on the map, because your idea is, all right, FlyQuest are so far ahead, they're going to try and play multiple lanes.
Yep. They got these two great split pushers.
Yeah, we got to pick on one of the lanes, just full send.
I mean, that last fight was really the one that felt like the game was pretty close up until then, but this is the first like big swing after Team Liquid made the blunder walking up to the
they're
Dragon.
going to fight it.
But now FlyQuest are just going ahead and saying, you know what, we're going to start Otacon. We dare you to come and try to answer this. A Scryer's Trinket placed into the pit is going to notice what FlyQuest is doing, but TL's got nobody nearby. It's Massu and Busio dealing with Umti and Impact here at the same time. Pop blossom to try to peel from Massu as he fires an arrow right back into Umti. Needs a little bit more damage to get the kill. The Realm Warp arrives. Massu's still in danger. Nobody's paying attention to Impact. He is going to manage to come back thanks to the false life from the Otacon, but still that's 2 false lives popped. Impact fighting for his life back here finally does drop. FlyQuest getting a little bit fast and loose there with their Otacon reward, but they're deciding, hey, let's go for it. Let's challenge these guys. 2 of those expended. Yes, they get Impact back. It's a wild one here.
So TL, they know that they don't scale well into this game, and so that's why they still want to force. They teleport early. You saw a teleport from Ahri go down to the bottom side really early once FlyQuest are on Otacon, and then they just try and get their pick off on the bottom lane here that are rotating over. Even though FlyQuest get the Otacon kill while this attempt on the pick is going, it still actually is able to get a decent amount of work done. Umti here tries to run away, but Impact, despite the early kind of rough start for Impact, Gwen still doing so much work there in the back line, and they're able to get 2 of those GAs off immediately. Still though, FlyQuest, very... Let's take a listen in on the context.
If you need help with Gwen, guys, say something. We are taking Ryze ult. We were not seeing it.
Yeah, just say something. We got a Ryze ult. We'll teleport over. Dial 1-800 help right now, and we'll try and get there quicker.
1-800-HELP. It did seem a little bit disjointed there. Even when the cavalry arrive, they all start chasing after Umti with their pitchforks and their torches in hand. Meanwhile,
Seem to be good too.
Make sure that that's good.
Nobody's been nibbling on them.
Okay, yeah. No random critters eating the cables.
You were feeling a little hungry.
Yeah, you know me. Sometimes the game goes a little bit too long.
Monitor cables looking
Pauses
real
a
tasty.
couple too many times. It's all right. We're chilling.
Okay, so after that fight on the reset, you see immediately push out top lane here for Team Liquid. Impact there on the Gwen, still at least trying to get that done since he does have his teleport ready. Maybe TL, they look at this ward in mid lane, like they do have an option for a teleport for the Gwen, trying to put down some more wards. Couple more options for him. The GA's, of course, still on 3 members here for FlyQuest, though.
Yep, and you can see that timer is running pretty low, so Bwipo just trying to play as aggro as is still reasonable with this Vlad. You got the false life, you've got the extremely fed game state that he's currently playing from, Riftmaker, plus the Cosmic Drive, plus the Enchanted Boots of Swiftness, as FlyQuest will now move on to their second Drake of the game. Team Liquid did manage to secure those first 2, and I honestly think feeling so pressured to secure the soul point status on the last one is what made them overextend to try to challenge for it when then FlyQuest did punish them. But since they missed it, it just feels like there's not even any reason for Liquid to be in the area for this. There's no way to contest it. They're too far behind in gold. It feels like it would just be a one-way trip without a whole lot of reward.
Yeah, and a whole lot of cost as well, since Baron's up in 30 seconds. So
very expensive tickets for a very bad destination.
Yep, definitely don't want to lose another fight like that. So spend some resources there. At least just keep some sort of vision up around Baron, since that thing definitely can go down decently quickly, even on spawn. Interesting. Couple of options here. Since they do have Quad's teleport, I do kind of always like those like trailing split push plays, especially when you have the Ryze Realm Warp ready, and 2 pretty strong split pushers. But it looks like they still rotate Bwipo over to the mid lane here just to be closer to Baron with his Ignite Flash on the Vladimir, and keep Quad in the bottom side by himself to be able to handle those.
And I'm glad you bring up the Ignite Flash, because it's something that I mentioned at the very beginning of the game, but one advantage Team Liquid could have here in terms of this macro game state that we're talking about, lane assignments, getting everybody ready for Baron. Team Liquid does have the 2 teleports compared to only the 1 for FlyQuest. Yeon under pressure, inspired, jumping in there with the Wind Becomes Lightning with that extended Audacious Charge, but Yeon's not going to waste any summoners on that or anything of the like, but it will push Team Liquid further back into their own jungle. FlyQuest securing total control here over the river. Scryer's Bloom, yes, it's going to see Busio, it's going to see 1 ward, but FlyQuest knows that this area now is dark and full of terrors for Team Liquid, who honestly, Kobe, cannot afford to give away a Baron. They need to know if FlyQuest is attempting this, because there's only so many things you can hand FlyQuest before the game's unmoved.
Oh, I mean, TL can't afford a lot right now. They can't afford their third items either. It's a full death cap advantage for Quad over APA at the moment. So very, very rough position to start out a Baron contest, and that's why FlyQuest are just going at everyone they see, being very aggressive on their positioning, clearing out all the vision around Baron, and then just trying to force here. Of course, TL have to be careful with their summoner spells too.
Okay, they didn't want to full send there under CoreJJ. I respect that. Do want to give a lot of credit to Inspired here as well. 4-0-4 on the Zingel. It's 8 out of 10 kill participation, highest on the team. Next closest one is Busio with 7 there on the Neeko. We talked in the beginning of the game about how Umti was set up with this Jarvan pick against immobile carries to be a big playmaker, to be a big difference maker for TL. But I feel like Inspired has been the king of the jungle in this one, man. Not close.
He has, especially his early proactive plays towards the Vladimir. Very, very influential in this game. Here we go, though. This is going to have to be TL coming over with APA. He's going to have to teleport in if they want to go for this.
Oh, Umti just 50%. Taking a massive chunk there as Quad immediately fires into the Team Liquid lines. APA has arrived in the wrong spot. You want to talk about the wrong destination, the wrong plane, the wrong ticket, the wrong airport, the wrong play from APA is punished. And FlyQuest now with a 4v5 back into the Baron pit.
Umti's hoping for a miracle play now, I guess. He's trying to find a way towards that Baron to steal it. It's so hard for TL, though, because they don't have the range to like poke down either, so it kind of has to be a full commit.
Yeon and CoreJJ staying together. Core knows he has to peel for this Kalista if they want to have any sort of a chance here. But Impact, the most deadly player right now on Team Liquid, I would have to think. Massu's got low HP, so he's trying to continue to play from range, as Bwipo now knows that Impact's going to need to dive in. Meanwhile, on the side of the fight, they got to try to save CoreJJ. A knockback back up into the air as Quad is down. Massu's having to go now into full retreat. Beautiful shutdown over to Umti. Team Liquid has found 2 kills. Yes, they had to lose Impact for it, but they stopped the Baron play. Umti throwing the flag over the wall, but not wanting to follow up with the spear. He knows that now they might have a chance to go after the Baron. They've got a Kalista. They have the extra smite secure power. Inspired is still alive, but he has no flash. Bwipo is alive, but he's very low on resources, and critically, there is no teleport. Vlad can't just recall and rejoin for a fight afterwards. 2 of those big cannons in Massu and Quad are down, and in an incredible showing around this Baron pit, good patience from Impact, good spacing there from Yeon and Core, Team Liquid might still be alive in this.
Patience for the whole TL team there in the face of the poke damage. And let's take a look, because I think it was Core who hits the first skill shot here, the handshake onto Quad. Yep, it's Core with the handshake onto Quad that sets it all up. That allows Umti to EQ in onto him, and they fully chain with the Renata ultimate, and they get the kill. They take down that fed Ryze, that death cap Ryze that we kept on highlighting, that we kept on saying so scary in this game. In the moment where they need it the most, it is CoreJJ who finds the handshake to start it all off for Team Liquid. And now with Baron, they've got a split push with their Gwen. FlyQuest are taking away that dragon. In payment, though, the tower is immediately going to go down.
Big moves there from CoreJJ, as now APA dashing in with a Spirit Rush. One to go after Massu, right on top of him here with a charm. Busio needs to try to protect, but CoreJJ is already down, as Inspired is unstoppable, and APA is unsuccessful. Impact diving into the back line to at least find something, but now he's hopping and skipping behind enemy lines, behind enemy turrets, back near the enemy base wall. He has no ulti left. Inspired just gonna walk back up through the gate, immediately ready to fight this guy, unafraid, knowing that he has Quad next to him. Now Umti's taking a turret up there in the top lane at the same time, but Inspired dominating. That's 3 dead on Team Liquid. So they tried to keep on going. They wanted to use the aggro that they had, the momentum that they had from that Baron. But as APA dives in, immediately going towards Massu, just not enough to finish him off immediately, and it turns around.
Yeah, that caused APA then to go in, Impact to go in to follow up and try and secure that kill. Let's take another look at the initial one, though, because the poke comes out. APA goes straight for Bwipo, who pools it, and so he goes on to the second target. Well, Umti already used his EQ, and then Bwipo flashed his Jarvan ult, so that's why they split the fight so heavily there. The collapse from Inspired and Quad able to get there and kind of get the punish, which split TL apart. They still have at least some Baron buffs.
Ooh. Handshake there on Bwipo as he immediately turns into a puddle as soon as it connects. Does not want to get followed up on by more damage there from Yeon. So let's go ahead and take a look at things, because right now, Kobe, we got ourselves a pretty interesting game state. 3.5 minutes till Baron again. 3.5 minutes until what'll be sold, not for Team Liquid, but for FlyQuest, who have managed to secure the last 3 Drakes in a row and are now currently pushing towards the tier 2. Busio getting away as TL tries to dogpile in, maybe cut off FlyQuest, but Inspired's found his way to APA. Xinjiao's gonna solo kill Ahri if TL isn't careful.
Whoa.
They toss Core over the wall there with a very aggressive Kalista ultimate. Umti ready to join back over the wall himself, but immediately knocked up into the air by Inspired as Umti tries to re-engage. The bailout's ready to go, but Busio with a massive pop blossom onto 2. Inspired's already godlike, Umti's already dead, Impact's already joining him, and Team Liquid melts away. FlyQuest with the full send realm warp into the base. Massu barely survives the turret. CoreJJ and APA barely survive at all. And the Nexus is FlyQuest target.
FlyQuest are going to start Split 2 with a win over TL. Inside the base, the Realm Warp in to finish it.
What a cool way to end the game. Bwipo keeping Core and APA trapped on the steps of the fountain. FlyQuest 18-8, feeling great, taking game 1.
Inspired deathless that game on the Xin Zhao. 7 kills for his name, almost legendary there. FlyQuest coming out hot here in Split 2.
FlyQuest starting strong. We praised it a lot. Inspired, ganking early for Bwipo, setting that Vlad up to be super successful. We got to see Quad power farming early on the Ryze, becoming the cannon. It was a great look for FlyQuest, and they're starting Split 2 1-0.
Some big Neeko engages from Busio there as well getting in. Definitely a fun one.